Have you ever been frustrated by wet and sticky dough that's hard to handle? It's probably the #1 complaint I see across the internet, especially by new sourdough bakers. Well, today I'm going to give you some of my tips and tricks that I give my students in my course, How to Make Great Sourdough Bread. I'll put a link to that in the description below. And we're gonna work with this gorgeous einkorn bread that I have here. This is 4 loaves, 65% einkorn. The rest is strong white bread flour. I chose it today because I find that einkorn is an especially sticky dough to work with. So we're gonna dump this out and shape some loaves, and I'm gonna show you the best technique for working with sticky dough. Come on. So, the first thing I'm going to tell you is ditch the flour and use water instead. So a lot of people will tell you, oh, if your dough is sticking to your hands, brush them with flour. If the dough is sticking to the surface, brush the surface with flour. That is like creating glue. You have a sticky, wet dough and you put some raw flour against it, you're just making a kind of dough glue on your hands. What you want instead is to make water your friend. Then you have a nice slick barrier between your fingers and the dough, even on the surface. Some people like to use a spray bottle. You can mist the surface with water, or you can just dip your hand and rub it across the surface. Now, I have not put any water on my surface right now because I like the tension. I want it to stick a little bit when I am shaping this dough. But you'll see what we're gonna do is we're gonna make our tools our friends. You're going to use your scrapers to unleash the dough from the table, but you also want a little bit of stick so that you can shape it properly. So let's cut this dough into 4 loaves. I'm gonna eyeball it. And you can see it's a sticky dough, but we're gonna tame it. I am going to pre-shape them so the gluten has time to realign. Now, to show you just how sticky this dough is, I'm just gonna touch it like that without any water, and it just wants to stick. It wants to be glue. So what we're gonna do is dip our hands. I have a little bit of water here. Get them nice and slick. Oop. And then we're going to use our tools. So I find a bench scraper when I am shaping to be my friend. When I'm doing, say, stretch and folds with a sticky dough, use your bowl scraper. So right now, I'm just going to use that to pick it up. Look, not sticking. Wet hands, not sticking. It's a miracle. And I'm gonna just fold it over on itself a bit and use my bench scraper to pick it up. Now that I have sort of a cohesive mass here, wet it again, and I'm just gonna take my bowl scraper and just tuck it. I'm gonna work it, tuck it under. This is just a very loose pre-shape, just to give it some structure, and then it's going to rest. Just like that. See? Very sticky dough, nothing on my hands. We'll do another one. Use my bench scraper, pick it up. Right? And then wet hands, pick it up. Pull it in. Look, nothing's really sticking. It's that wetness. When things start to stick, dip it in just a little bit, just to get it slick. And bringing the dough under and into the middle. Let's do another one. I'm going to do the 4th one. We're gonna let them rest, and then we're gonna come back and shape. Okay, so we've let these rest for about 15 minutes, and now we're going to shape. One of my tips for sticky doughs, if you find that they're sticking inside your bannetons, obviously you can coat the banneton with flour, but I find that a coating of something like sesame seeds or dried oats or wheat bran creates a barrier between the moisture of a sticky dough and the liner of your banneton. So I'm going to dip my shaped dough in sesame seeds before I put it in. So again, I'm just going to wet my hands. I'm not putting any water or any flour on my counter. And I'm using my friend, the bench scraper. Okay, turn it over. That drier side is down now, and that will help you. And I'm going to gently stretch it out. And anytime you feel like the dough is sticking to your fingers, dip them again. Make the water your friend. I do it this way, like a trifold, and using the stickiness, the natural stickiness of the dough to the surface, I am going to let it stick a little bit so I can pull it, so we can get some nice tension and roll this up tight. Now, look, I feel a little sticky, a little tacky. Just gonna dip them in for that final roll. Here we go. I'm pulling, pulling, pulling. Okay. Bench scraper, flip it over. If you have wet hands, you're fine. I'm gonna dip. No need to spray the loaf, you just dip, roll it around, and right into your banneton. I'll let it rest, and then I will stitch that up a little bit tighter. Let's do another one. In about 10 minutes, I'm going to come back and stitch these up and give these an even tighter shape. I hope I have empowered you to dump the flour and try water, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. I have so many more tips and tricks to share with you, and I do it in my course, How to Make Great Sourdough Bread. You will find more depth than anything that I have here on my YouTube channel. I'll put the link in the description below. I hope you'll bake with me.